Good morning. It is time to wake up and be wealthy. Welcome back to the show. And I have a juicy guest for you. And I quite literally when I sent you a DM and it was like, will you be on the show? And you responded back, yes. I felt like I was in fifth grade again. Yay. She said yes. So welcome, Tasha, to the show. So glad that you're here.
Thank you for having me. I am super pumped to be here. And it's just, I know we're going to have a great conversation because you're a joy already. I love
Oh,
it.
I'm so grateful for your time. Truly, you're a legend in this online space. You have forged a path, and I'm sure has not been easy.
Definitely not.
You're so fun on social, and you just love life. You can feel that you love life. You love your business. You're so proud of the work that you and your team create. So let's dive into the topic of how do we actually sustainably grow a multi-six-figure business, and maybe start with your journey, and then
Yeah.
we can get into some of the juicy nuggets with that.
Yeah. So I have been in business now since 2017. I say 2017 because I started November of 2016.
Yeah.
So 2017 was my first full year in business. And then 2018 was my first full-time year in business. And I started off as a virtual assistant, having absolutely no clue what I was doing, literally just created a blog and kind of fell into being a VA from seeing other bloggers needing virtual assistants. And I think one of the things that I really had going for me was the fact that I am totally fine with failure. I am totally fine with not afraid to fail at all. Right. And so I kind of jumped in just being like, let's try this thing and see how it works. And it started working really, really fast. And as it worked, better and more, I started honing in on what I really, really enjoyed doing. And that happened to be launches, which people either love or they hate. I love it because I am a super high quick start. I love fast, furious. I love when I have to solve a problem. I think it's my ADHD part of my brain. When other people are freaking out, I'm the one that's okay, well, we're fine. We're going to get through this. Right. So I think all of those things made me really great at being first a tech VA in launches and then a launch manager, a launch strategist, those sorts of things, because I see launches as opportunities to solve kind of puzzles and to put all the puzzle pieces together. So after I really figured that out, I started my agency, which is called the Launch Guild. So we are now a team of about 20 women strong. And we do,
Woo!
I know, I love it. I love it. It's so good, right?
Yes, so good.
Yes. And we help our clients with all facets of launching. So all the way from strategy to management to the tech design, Facebook ads, everything. And in addition to that, I also coach other agency owners, and I have 2 launch certifications. So one for launch managers and one for launch tech specialists. So I do a lot of things, and it's taken me we'll talk more about this, but one of the things that I really tell people all the time when they kind of see where my business is at now and all the things that I'm doing now, I let them know that the key to that and to doing it sustainably is not doing it all at once. Right. And so
say that 100 more times.
Yes, I know, right? Yes. And so, yeah, that I think that is the big, if somebody hangs up and doesn't listen to the rest of the episode, which I hope you will, because we're going to dive into more. But if that's the only takeaway, know that it takes time and that's okay. And also that you can't do it all at the same time.
Yes. Well, and I wholeheartedly align with that as well, because I was one of those people that tried to do it all at the same time,
Mhm.
ADHD, and I was we're going to be over here, we're going to do this, total squirrel looking for all the nuts, right?
Yeah.
And then I had a mentor who was slow down, let's nail one thing at a time. And I was well, I've already tried it my way,
Yeah.
and it's not working so well. And then wouldn't you know, oh my gosh, skyrocket success.
Exactly. It's when, and I heard that slow down to speed up kind of
Yeah.
thing for a really long time. And I was that sounds ridiculous.
It can't be that easy.
I would do that, but it totally, totally makes sense. And I think when I first started my agency, I was kind of throwing things at the wall, didn't really have processes, all of those things that my team needed to be great. And once I slowed down enough to be okay, what does our agency need in order to be great? What does each one of my team members need in order to be great in what they're doing? That was when I started being able to step out of implementation, being able to trust that my team was going to be able to handle it from start to finish without me. And that's what gave me the space to build everything else that I've built.
Yes, I love that. So for those that desire to scale to multi six figures and beyond, of course,
Mhm.
and also like do it sustainably, how did you decide what was that like first thing that you did focus on? Like, because there's so many different things that we can do and sell. So like, what was it for you that was like, this is the thing that I know, not necessarily know, but like, I'm going to pour my heart here
Mhm.
because I know it's going to create momentum for me. Like, how did you decide that?
Yeah. So I always tell people when they're trying to figure out like what exactly to do first or what to work on first, I like to think of it as like three circles that like, overlap basically. So it is what you love, what
Mm,
the primary thing that people are coming to you for. Like, what is the thing that they're like,
yes.
oh, you need to go see Tasha, right? And then
Yes.
what are you great at? Like, because
Yes.
sometimes what we love, we're not great at. Right? So
Yes.
we just need to be honest about that and be like, that's going to stay a hobby or like, that kind of thing. But when you are in the center of like what you love, what you're great at, what people are coming to you for, like it's going to feel easy and
Yes.
it's going to have so much joy attached to it. And so that was for us, that was launch management. And we actually, when we started the agency, we were still doing ongoing virtual assistant and OBM support as well as launch support. And we kind of finally had this kind of come to Jesus moment where we were like, what is the thing that like when we wake up every morning, like, and it really was a we, in terms of like
Mhm.
me asking my team, like, when we
Yeah.
wake up, like, what is the thing that we love? And everybody said launches, like everybody said launches. And we were like, well, then why are we doing the other stuff?
Yeah.
So that's really when we decided to go all in on launches and say, we're going to be a launch support agency. And that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to really get really amazing at so that we can support our clients at the highest level.
I love that. We actually teach a similar exercise with the circles because
Mm-hmm.
I think we forget like we are genuinely really good at things and it could be like the most bizarre things, but there's a way to monetize anything, really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when it comes so easy to us, I think we just kind of blaze past it and it's like no, if you're like so good at putting outfits together, there's a market for that. Like
Mm-hmm.
people get anxiety from, getting cute outfits together. Like, so I love that you said that because there's so many ways that we can monetize things that come so easy to us. And equally, like things that we're interested and we want to pour our time into, like
Yeah.
you can totally learn how to funnel build and charge, a
Yeah.
lot of money
A
for them,
lot of
right? Like
money. Yeah.
even virtual assistants, like at one point years and years ago, I got paid $15 an hour. So like
Yeah.
a virtual assistant that gets paid $25 to $30 an hour, holy smokes, that's
Yeah.
like you don't get that raise in corporate. So
Exactly. Yeah.
like I think it's just so cool because there's so many women sitting on the sidelines, but like it's stories like yours of like you're like I just dove in and like started with what felt good and then like what would old you say now like sitting on this podcast like what like if she knew everything that like has transpired from that like let's just do this and try it out
Yeah.
like what would she say?
Number one, she would be so proud of me. And then number
Oh.
two, she would be like, well, of course we did it. Cause like we said we were going to do it. So like that's always been, and I'm a person who has had 18,000 million careers. My degree is in musical theater. I did that professionally for 12 years. And then I worked at a bank, like I owned a group fitness studio. Like I've done a lot of things. And so I think that like the lack of fear that I have has always been in me in terms of even when I was a little girl, I was just fearless in that way. So I think my younger self and myself when I first started would just be like, well, yeah, you said you were going to do it. So of course you did it.
I love that. And like quite honestly, the feeling of fear I think paralyzes us more than like really anything actually happening. Like
Yeah. Hmm.
it's just all the unknown that I think women are just like, what if, like, and it like just try. Like
Hmm.
the worst that can happen is you find that you don't like it and then you
Yeah.
try again and try again. Like that's how the light bulb was invented, right? Like,
Exactly. Yes.
and we get to be patient. I see so often, I'm curious, like in your, when you guys work with clients and launching, like, it's not working, I suck, like I quit. Like, do you see that happening, like
Oh my
with people
gosh,
that,
all the time. It's on both sides. So it's on me coaching other virtual support pros, and
yeah,
it's on the launch side. And so we tell our clients, like, I am really big on transparency. And so I will say to my clients from the first discovery call, like, hey, this is all an experiment. It's all about data, and then like having the data and then changing a couple data points at a time from launch to launch. But if you're expecting that like straight out the gate, you're going to make $1 million, we're probably not the team for you, because I'm not promising you that. And like
yeah,
launching probably isn't the thing for you, because that's not how this works. Right. So I really like to set them up for that reality in terms of like, you're not failing, you're just figuring out like what your audience gravitates towards and what they don't. Right. And then we tweak the system as we go. And then on the other side, like I used to have a program for brand new virtual assistants, and it was like, it was a course that they could stay in the Facebook group for like ever. But there were like two pools of people in this course. Either it was the people who were like, okay, I'm going to try and I'm going to keep going. And, I'm going to come to the group when I have issues and everything, but like,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep going. And then there would be the people who 2 weeks in would be like, I still don't have my first client. Like, and they'd be like, I've tried everything there is to try in marketing and I don't have my first client. And I'm like, you're a liar. You've not tried everything. So really, really thinking in terms of like, okay, what other opportunities are there for me to try and see what happens?
Yes, I love that. And like when we are willing to just keep going, like you grow so much. Like that's
Mhm.
been my favorite part of this journey is like, money can come and go, it's replenishable, like it's great. And it is obviously a tool and a vehicle, but like the growth that not only I've had, but also like witnessing like people in our containers, like
Mhm.
you can't put a price tag on that. Like you're
Yeah.
like when you're an entrepreneur, you are truly guaranteed to grow if you allow to be in the journey. Like if you
Yes.
walk away, you're not going to grow anymore, but like you just grow so much. Like
Yeah,
it's so
it's
cool.
funny because somebody inside of my program for agency owners, Agency Thrive Mind, the other day, she was like, I know you told me that like this whole agency ownership was like growth, but I feel like I'm growing all the time.
And it's
I
tiring.
know. It's like, I'm really tired.
Yeah, it's like when you're a little kid and you have those like painful growing pains and like you're
Yes.
like it hurts. Like
Yes.
that is definitely real. Which brings me to my next question of like, growth doesn't come in your comfort zone. So
Mhm.
like, is there any like pivotal moments over your journey of scaling to multiple six figures that you're like, wow, that was a big lesson, or that was a sacrifice, or I would have done that differently? Like, were there any like words of wisdom for somebody that is wanting to do this that you can
Yeah.
recall?
Yeah, I think there were two places within, and both have been within the last 3 years. So 2020 was a huge, huge year of growth for us.
Yeah.
And I know that like the world was burning down basically,
Yeah.
but it was a great year of growth for us. And at the same time, we grew so fast in 2020 that it started feeling like a train careening off the tracks at times.
Yeah.
And we were at that place where like our client experience wasn't like where we wanted it to be 100% of the time and everything, because there were so many people coming to us, and like, we were hiring so many new team members to take care of them and everything. And like our SOPs and our processes couldn't keep up with like what was happening. Right.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time I feel like from when I built my agency, I really stopped and was like, okay, we are slowing down, like intentionally slowing down. And like I think it was like maybe June, we put up on our discovery call form, we were like, we're not taking people until September. So like you can pay a deposit and like your launch has to be like September or after, because that
Yeah.
gave us the space to serve and support at the highest level our current clients. And then on the back end, we were working operationally to catch up with the growth and to make sure that we were like shoring up all of our processes so that they matched what we were promising people, in terms of it. So that was definitely the first place. The second place was last year. Last year was a huge, difficult year with team transitions. Within the span of a month, three of my leadership team members resigned, and like we had a whole bunch of different transitions with that. And these were people that were like dear friends of mine and not
Yeah.
just like, colleagues kind of thing. And so there was a grieving process that I went through in terms of what I expected last year to be and who I expected to be by my side as we, continued building this thing, and what that actually looked like. And like, I literally went into a hole for like a good 4 months where it was just like, I was only doing the bare minimum of like, okay, I still have people to pay. I still have a mortgage. I got to, get stuff done. But at the same time, like I needed to take that space and time for me to grieve and to go into therapy and all of those things. So I think on the other side of it, now I can look at it and be like, like the timing, as sucky as it was also a blessing, because I feel like that it was a place of transition that I wasn't even aware of yet, that needed to happen in order for us to be in the place that we are now. But at the same time, like that was so hard. So I think in terms of as you're growing into 6 and 7 figures, like what got you here won't always get you there, right? And thinking that it's again that whole slowing down to speed up thing. I like to call them plateaus, right? Because like when we're hiking, I hate the outdoors, but go with me on this. When we're hiking, you're never like you never go all just like straight up, because like your heart basically can't take it, right? So we go straight up, we either stop and rest, or we have that little plateau where we're going on mostly like flat, and then we start going straight up again. And so we have to think about our businesses in that same way, that we're probably not going to go straight up and never need to rest, or else we're going to burn out, right? And so having those places where we're just like, you know what, I'm not taking clients right now, or like I need to shore up like this process or these team processes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can relate to that so much because like I grew a baby last year, then
Mm.
birthed a baby, and now he's 4 months, and it's like I know what I'm capable of, and I have all these big goals and dreams for the Wealthy Queen movement, but it's like we're still moving forward. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like I just feel like when you're a high achiever, you're like, but it's not going fast enough. And it's like, girl, slow down. Like you've got
Yes.
kids, you've got things. And so like I think that is such a good visualization for everyone listening, because you're still climbing up the mountain, right?
Mhm.
And you see the top, you're gonna get there. Like I know I'm never gonna give up. Like I'm still gonna be 80 years old in the online space.
You and me both.
Right? Like we'll have another podcast episode like, hey girl, how's it been?
Yeah.
Like, so I think when you know that you're here for the long haul, that you're a ride or die entrepreneur, like you can make anything happen because you've got time on your side. Like,
Mhm.
and I think that's huge. And yeah, team will come and go, but like your passion is so important through this process and like reigniting it too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think that's important. So how do you like reconnect with your vision, your business, like reignite that passion to keep going? Because I think that is a part of sustainability.
Yeah, so I'm going to completely counter everything that I've said up until now.
Okay. I
And
love
say,
it.
say that for me, this year has been a year of just saying yes to things, right? And so I was just like, what do I feel like doing? Like, what do I feel like creating? And I think like the reason that I'm able to do that is because I've created sustainability in my core programs, right? And so now
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I have my core programs. What else do I want to play with? And so this year I decided to do like 3 live events, because high achievers can't just do one and call it a day. We
Right.
have to
Of course
do
not.
two retreats and a conference. I'm like, who am I? Right. So 3 live events I'm trying like smaller priced, smaller ticket offers, those sorts of things. So I think reigniting is just like playing in the sandbox sometimes and being like, okay, what came out of the sandbox that I can like really go all in on? But like, in order to know what that thing is, we've got to like play for a while.
Yes. I
Mhm.
love that so much because like I said at the beginning of your episode, like you can feel your joy through social media. That like you can feel how passionate you are, how much fun that you're having. That is like one of the most attractive things, I think. Like that is attraction
Thank
marketing
you.
at its finest. Like seriously
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
like this online space, it's small but saturated at the same time. Like
yeah,
so like just by you being you and playing and digging
hmm,
into your passion is so attractive. And we can all do that. Like we
yeah,
all have access to like, what do I feel like doing? Like what
hmm,
would just light me up? And like when you're on a webinar or on a live video or anything and you can feel somebody's passion, like you're going and getting your credit card and you're like, I didn't even
yes.
know, right? Like I didn't know I needed this or wanted this, but you feel so emotionally connected. And like, I can just feel that so much on your
Thank you.
social.
And
So
like all of that is intentional and it starts with my relationship with my amazing husband. So
yeah,
both of us, it's our second marriage for both of us. And when we started dating, one of the things that was really important to both of us, and we talked a lot about, was authenticity and coming to the table as our authentic selves everywhere, not just in this relationship, but in all relationships. And so I think I bring that, but also like I've always been a person that's just like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Right.
yeah.
So,
That's why you're an entrepreneur,
I
right?
know,
Like,
I know. Yeah. Every once in a while when I'm like, maybe I want to burn this down, I'm like, who is going to pay me like $140,000 a year to like take a nap in the middle of the day? So
right?
like no one. So I guess I got to keep going. Right. But that's the case. Like I looked at what do I want my life to be like? And then how do I design a business that like lights me up in both business and in life?
I love that so much. And it's just such a good reminder because I feel like it's very easy just to keep saying yes to money throughout the process of building your business. And then you're like, I hate my business. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so why not go a little bit slower, design it around your life? Like, and you're actually going to be more successful than I think than the person that's like just burning at both
Yeah.
ends and like saying yes to everything and then having to fire clients and they're working 40 hours a day and there's not even
Yeah.
40 hours in a day, you know? So I just think that that's just such a good message. And like, I love the authenticity piece because I think women are craving to consume that type of
Yeah.
content. But
Mhm.
then equally, like, how do you like regulate yourself to feel safe in that process? Because it can
Mm.
be terrifying
Mhm.
to put yourself out on social, say what you believe in, be loud and proud on social, like all the things that
Yeah.
I feel like so many women like admire other women, but then they're like, I couldn't do that. Like, so what would
Yeah.
you say to that woman that's like, she's got big goals and dreams, but she is like terrified to, be seen and heard and
Yeah.
be
I think it's a
authentic?
matter of first having an amazing community to start practicing that in. I am a part of a Facebook Messenger like little chat group. There's 8 of us, and we're all women business owners, and like we know each other's deepest, darkest secrets. Like that's how like intimate that experience has become. And I think like they have given me permission to show up even more boldly as myself because they're hyping me up and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome, like you're so pretty, that sort of thing there. So I think that when you have something like that where you can be honest and say like, oh my gosh, like I really want to do this thing but it feels really scary, you can have those people in your corner and like who have your back. And also the reality is like I share a lot on social, but like I don't share like my entire life, like
Yeah,
there
true.
are things that are just like my small community, like my real friends, not just my internet friends know. And so I think it's okay to have those places that are just like you for you in your heart while still being really authentic and sharing freely, basically.
That is such a good point because I think a lot of us have like that all or nothing mentality where it's like,
Mhm.
if I'm going to be authentic, I have to be authentic. Like, and it's like you can start with just like sharing the smallest, tiniest little thing and
Yes.
or just showing up with no makeup. Like, I
Yes.
remember when I started doing that and women were like, what? Like, and they're like, thank you for just being you. Or like when I started having kids and like they were screaming in the background and I'm like, well,
Mhm.
welcome to my life. Like,
This is life. Yeah.
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 So
I
like,
do the same thing sometime with like, if I have an idea, like because of my ADHD, if I don't like say the idea or at least write it down right then and then, it's gone, right? It's like gone forever.
Yep.
So I just decided a couple years ago, like and a lot of my ideas come in the morning when like I have no makeup on. Sometimes I still have my bonnet, like my sleep bonnet on. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to tell this Instagram story with my coffee and my no makeup and my bonnet on. And like, if people have a problem with that, they're not my people.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
I got critiqued for my typos in something recently. And I was like, girl, like, I am not perfect. Thank you for letting me know. But I have ADHD. I move really fast. We do proofread things, but it's just
It's
not going to be
still, yeah.
perfect. Like,
Yeah.
but like, that's authentically me. And like, if you're going to like unsubscribe from our amazing content because there were a few typos, then
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you're not my people either,
Yeah.
you know? So,
You know what's funny? My mom is on my newsletter list. Why? I have no idea, but she is. But she was a
she's
teacher.
so cute.
Yeah,
And she
she's
loves you so
adorable.
much.
She was a teacher for 42 years. And so
Uh-oh.
I'll send a newsletter and she'll like email it back to me and like highlight place. I'm like, Mom, it's already sent. Like it's gone.
As long as the pay button works, we're good,
Yeah,
right?
we're good. Exactly.
We're good. But it's so true because it's like old me would have literally like that would have triggered me so
Yeah.
badly. And like, oh my gosh, I can't put myself out there anymore. Like I suck. Like, so like that's why the mindset work throughout this whole journey is so important because the littlest thing can derail you. There's just like there's a lot of healing to do. We're complex humans. We've been through trauma, like, you know, and so it's just important to like pay attention to those things throughout the process because then you'll be more authentic and not even think about it. So
Yeah, totally.
I just love that. So from like a routine aspect, like obviously you've got a lot of team members, you've got big ideas, big visions. How do you like, I know it's like the biggest question ever. How do you manage your time to make sure that you're still scaling your business, taking care of you, spending time with your hubby, like all the things, like what's your secret sauce, if you will?
Yeah. So my secret sauce is that I really go with my energy levels. And what that means for me is that I prioritize like my biggest brain work in the beginning of the day because I am toast to like everybody by 2 p.m. Right. But like, ask me to do something complex at 6 a.m. I'm like, yes, ready for it. And so, yeah, when people ask me like, what's my morning routine? Like, I don't have one because like, I would rather dive into work and then like do what other people would do for a morning routine, like later on as like relaxation later on in the day. And then in terms of like day to day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays tend to be more internal days. So like Mondays, we have our leadership team meeting. Wednesdays, a lot of times I'm just like, yeah, the vibes are off. Like I'm not feeling this. So I'll do very little. And then Fridays are my either content creation day or another day of like whatever feels best for, you know, and whatever needs to get done before the end of the week kind of thing. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are a lot more like podcast interviews, a lot more coaching calls, those sorts of things where I'm doing a lot more like external things in terms of my programs. The great thing about my agency is that I am 90% out of the day-to-day of my agency. So
how huge that is. Like,
I know it's pretty amazing. Like once somebody says yes in the discovery call, that's where I depart and exit. Exit stage, right? High five, right?
Oh my gosh. That's something to brag about. That's huge.
It's really, really amazing. And there will be times that, you know, Kara, our launch strategist and our operations manager, she'll send me a Voxer and say like, hey, I'd love your input on this or something like that. But for the most part, like I'm not in it. And that brings us back to the original point of like, I had to get to that point, you know, where I could be out of it so that I could serve and support like the people inside of my programs well, basically.
Yes, that's so freaking good. So good. So did you have like a lot of like ego challenges with that? Or were you like, no, I am so good with this?
Yes, it's so funny because like there are a few things that the majority of the women inside of Thrive Mind like have really big problems with. And I'm like, I'm trying to understand, but I don't. Like,
yeah,
and that is one of them. I'm like, delegate everything. Like
girl, yeah,
my whole philosophy is if it's not in my zone of genius or zone of competence, like somebody else can do it better than I can, which means I need to give it to somebody else.
yes.
And I think that that's one of the other like keys to growing this fast and this successfully in terms of like, get out of your own way, you know, like if it's not something that you're great at, you're probably putting it on the back burner, like day after day, when like somebody else could have gotten it done in like 4.7 seconds.
I love that. So are you the one like closing the big deals, if you will, and then you pass it off from there?
Yeah. Yep.
I love that.
And then Kara assembles, like she decides who would be best for the team members on that team for the launch and everything. And then they go from there.
That is fucking badass. Like, so you should be so proud because like that is probably the hardest piece in this online space is because all of these like coaches and mentors become their brand, right? And a lot of them name it their name, but then everyone wants them. And you've been able to literally like blaze past that. Like you can scale as big as you want. Like, which is so huge because you're not the bottleneck. And that's just like, that's amazing because I see that being like the biggest challenge with people that I work with. They're like, but I'm in the kitchen, I'm in the coaching calls, I'm in, you know, the service-based work. But then they're getting burnt out. So that's huge.
Yeah, totally. And you know what I think it is? It's that I wasn't afraid to change everything from a me to a we. So like, for example, when I started the agency, my former name on our LLC was Tasha B Solutions. And I was like, well, I can't sell it ever if it's Tasha B Solutions, right? And like that immediately feels like, oh, I'm going to work with Tasha, which is why I decided to change the name to the Launch Guild. And then once we made that transition, everything else was like, okay, all of the social media is like we, you know, and our instead of me and mine. And you'll see that all the way from social media to all of all of our blog posts, everything on our website is all like at least my team and I, if not like our team, you know, that sort of thing. And I think so many people are afraid of like putting their team front and center. And I'm just like, but they're the awesome people. Like they're the experts in the room. Like you want them.
Well, and like this journey can be lonely if you're not careful. And like, it's great to like invest in communities. And equally, I've so enjoyed having my ride or dies as my team because they see it all. Like they see me on my best days, my worst days, like they're in it. We share wealth together because like the more we grow, the more I can pour into them. We went through a similar rebrand because I was feeling that too of like, we used to be the sales queen. And everyone was like, well, I want to work with Nelly. And I was like, there's only one of me and I tried. But then I had to take that step back of like, I'm doing it to myself. Like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. Like, my whole brand is centered around me. Like, and so although I'm still like the attractive character, we're starting to introduce, like we've shifted to the wealthy queen movement and it has been a game changer. Like we're getting support coaches, people are starting to like come on our content, like, and like be recognized. And like, it's just this whole movement rather than like one woman trying to do it all. Cause I don't feel like that's modeling to other women that like, people are like, you're so busy. And I'm like, I'm actually not like, and so I think it's just like being real and honest about that. So I love that you did that because I honestly think it's one of the most genius things you can do for if you want to scale a ton and potentially sell, like you mentioned. And like you never know, you may want to, or you just don't know.
Exactly. And you never know. And you want to you want to set yourself up for as much success as you want, you know? So I feel like in doing that, I have.
I love that. Well, like how much success do you desire? Like what's your big, like hairy, scary, audacious goal? Like,
you know,
I want to know.
I feel like last year and kind of like this year, I've been kind of like, okay, we'll stay around the 1 million mark and like, that'll be good. And now I'm like, what would like 3 million look like? Or like 5 million, you know, like what could that look like? So I think that that's kind of my next goal in terms of what one thing and we're going back to this one thing to get to the next level. Like, what one thing do I want to go all in on in terms of it being our most scalable offer? And I don't know that I know what that is yet, but I know that I'm thinking in terms of like what that thing is going to be.
Yes, I love it so much. So good. Well, I could talk to you forever, but you know, we'll like start wrapping this up here.
Yes.
And this is like incentivizing everyone to like just go hang out with you more and on
Yeah.
Instagram stories and see you drinking your coffee. So what do you have going on? How can people get involved? Like tell us all the things.
Yeah. So first of all, if you ever want to find out what I'm doing, I've got two websites. So thelaunchguild.com and tashabooth.com. On Instagram, I hang out at the Tasha Booth mostly. So it's the Tasha Booth. And then my things that I'm most excited are my live events this year. Like, we've got one that's coming up very, very soon that's been sold out for months. We have another one happening in the fall. And then we have our first ever conference for agency owners happening in October. So there are, I know.
Where is
I'm
that
like,
being hosted?
it's in Albuquerque, which is my town. And my husband and I just built this beautiful house. We moved in October. And one of the nights that everybody's here, we are having a pizza and pool party at my house.
Stop it.
I know. I'm so excited.
How do I get an invitation to that?
I will send it to you. Yes. But
what is the price?
Yes. So it's called Agency Live. And I'm just so excited about it because I don't know of any agency centered conferences the way that I'm going to run it. I haven't heard of any before. So I'm really excited about that. And then the retreat that I'm doing is called the CEO Call to Clarity Retreat. I just, especially with everything that happened last year with our team changes and how I was feeling, I was like, you know what? I'm sure there are other CEOs out there who just need a time of spaciousness. Like, there's not a ton of workshops. We're bringing in like a sound bath meditation guy and like chair massage and just creating spaciousness within having great conversations about our businesses to figure out what we want the next things to be. So I'm excited about that too.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we're gonna hang out more. At least I'm gonna
Please and thank you.
I'm gonna manifest that because I need more of your energy in my life. Okay, I love that. And we'll link everything in our show notes for everyone. What is your, like, just in closing, like, what is your best piece of advice for somebody that like has just supported you so much outside of like focusing on one thing? Like, what is just like your tried and true, like you always go back to it?
Yeah. So my mom from a very young age always used to say to me, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the cross. And I think even for people who don't identify as Christian or anything, like thinking in terms of, okay, what is my North Star and what is the thing that is most important to me? And remembering to recenter yourself back to that whenever you feel lost.
Okay, I could go cry now because that is, you just got the award for the best closing podcast. Seriously, that was, I think that's just, it's so simple, but like we forget to do that. Like we forget to stand in our power. We forget to like acknowledge like what's most important to us. And it's so easy to get lost in this space. And like, especially if you have like a small audience, it's like no one's paying attention. Like I'm not like launching, no one's buying. Like you can just get in your head so much. So this is just such a great way for people to like recenter. And I'm trusting that anyone listening is like, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. So thank you, Tasha. You're amazing. Like seriously, such a joy to have you on the show. Thank you for saying yes. Like,
yay, absolutely. Thank you for asking.
Heck yeah. I was like, similar to you, like I'm not afraid of a no. Like, and I was like, I want her on here. I know she's going to inspire so many people, and she may say yes, she may ignore me. It like, I'll just keep staying in possibility that it could happen. So thanks for making it easy.
Yay.
But we hope you have an amazing day today when you're listening, and go check out Tasha on social and all the links that we have below for you. And as always, it is a great day to be wealthy and go after all of your dreams. Love you.
Yay.